Beloved brothers and sisters, today I come to you with a message that is not ordinary but extraordinary. The Lord is speaking, and his voice is urgent, piercing through the noise of this world. Today is not just any day. Today is Thursday, March 26th, a day that carries a divine opportunity, a sacred moment in which heaven is calling upon the chosen ones. You are here because God has set his eyes on you. He has prepared you for this very hour. There is an urgency in his message, a call to act, to rise, and to align your life with his will. For in the last 24 hours of this season, the gates of heaven are open, and what you do today can determine your blessings, your breakthroughs, and your destiny. Do not let this moment pass as ordinary. Do not wait, do not hesitate, for the Lord is ready to pour out his favor, his guidance, and his miracles to those who respond now. The time is short, the call is urgent, and the message is clear. God is speaking to his chosen ones today, and he is calling you to act. God's urgent call for the chosen ones is not a message to be taken lightly. It is a voice that pierces through the ordinary, a sound that shakes the very foundations of our hearts and minds. In a world filled with distractions, noise, and endless concerns, the divine call is clear and it is persistent. It reaches out to those who have been prepared, to those who have been chosen, and it whispers a message of both warning and hope. The Lord does not call casually. He calls with intention, purpose, and with the knowledge of the immense potential that lies within each of his chosen children. To hear this call is already a sign of favor, a confirmation that you are being watched over, guided, and positioned for a destiny that is greater than the ordinary. This urgent call is not simply about words or ideas. It is about action, obedience, and faith. God's chosen ones are not called to sit passively, waiting for blessings to fall from the sky without effort. Instead, they are called to rise, to move, and to respond in the fullness of their spiritual authority. The urgency is real because time is finite, and opportunities given by God are often limited to moments that require immediate attention. When the Lord calls, he expects a response, a willingness to step out of comfort zones, and a readiness to embrace what he has prepared. Every hesitation, every delay can result in missed blessings, missed breakthroughs, and missed alignment with God's perfect will. The urgency of God's call is amplified by the spiritual atmosphere surrounding us. In times of uncertainty, trials, and even fear, God's voice becomes a beacon of light. He calls his chosen ones to step into clarity, to rise above confusion, and to anchor themselves in faith. Those who are called are not called because of their perfection, their strength, or their worldly achievements. They are called because of their hearts, their willingness to obey, and their capacity to trust in God's timing and wisdom. It is in this obedience that the chosen ones are distinguished from the rest, for they are the vessels through which God's purpose will flow and his plans will be realized. To understand the urgency, one must recognize the divine orchestration of events. God moves in ways that are beyond human comprehension, and his timing is perfect. What he positions in front of his chosen ones is intentional. Each circumstance, each moment is a test of readiness and faith. The call is urgent because it aligns with a divine schedule that is unfolding invisibly yet powerfully. Those who respond with immediacy will find themselves in the center of God's will, experiencing protection, provision, and promotion that cannot be earned by human effort alone. This is why the Lord emphasizes urgency, because the window of divine opportunity is brief and the stakes are eternal. God's call also carries with it a sense of intimacy and personal connection. He does not speak in generic terms or send messages that apply to everyone indiscriminately. Each chosen one receives a message tailored to their life, their challenges, and their purpose. The urgency is amplified because the message is not abstract. It is personal. It touches the soul, awakens the spirit, and stirs the heart. To ignore this call is not simply to miss a general opportunity. It is to risk missing the specific blessing, the precise breakthrough, and the divine alignment that God has orchestrated uniquely for you. In addition, the call of God comes with empowerment. Those who hear and respond are not left to their own devices. They are equipped with spiritual insight, discernment, and strength. The urgency is not intended to create fear or anxiety. Rather, it is meant to awaken the spirit to action, to ignite faith, and to mobilize the chosen ones into their God-given assignments. Every step taken in response to this call is accompanied by divine guidance, protection, and provision. The Lord does not call and leave his people alone. He walks with them, strengthens them, and leads them into victory. Understanding this call requires awareness, attentiveness, and a deep spiritual sensitivity. The chosen ones must cultivate a heart that listens, a mind that discerns, and a spirit that is ready to obey without hesitation. The urgency of God's message is heightened by the reality that time waits for no one and the moments he gives are fleeting. There are opportunities, encounters, and revelations that are granted only in a specific time and space, and those who recognize the call and respond immediately will find themselves in alignment with God's perfect plan. This urgent call is ultimately a call to destiny. God's chosen ones are not called for ordinary lives, ordinary achievements, or ordinary experiences. They are called to carry his message, to embody his purpose, and to act as vessels of transformation in their families, communities, and the world. The urgency exists because the stakes are high, not just for the chosen ones themselves, but for the lives they are meant to touch, the decisions they are meant to influence, and the divine plans they are meant to fulfill. To hear this call, to embrace it, and to respond faithfully is to step into a life of supernatural favor, divine timing, and eternal significance. The last 24 hours of March are not just ordinary hours. They are sacred moments appointed by God for his chosen ones. Within this final span of time lies an opportunity unlike any other, a window in which heaven itself is ready to move and to pour out blessings, guidance, and miracles upon those who are attentive, obedient, and faithful. Time is a precious gift from the Lord, and these hours carry a weight of significance that cannot be measured in the ordinary sense. The chosen ones are being called to recognize this urgency, to awaken from spiritual complacency, and to step fully into alignment with God's plan before the hour passes. In these final 24 hours, God's Spirit is moving with intensity, seeking hearts that are receptive and willing to respond. The Lord's timing is perfect, and he has strategically positioned events, opportunities, and divine appointments that can change the course of lives, families, and even generations. This is why the last hours of a season are never to be overlooked. God often uses these final moments to release breakthroughs, to shift circumstances, and to fulfill promises that have been long awaited. For those who are sensitive to his voice, these hours can become a defining period of transformation, a time when the impossible becomes possible through faith and obedience. The urgency of this period is heightened by the reality that spiritual alignment must coincide with divine timing. Even the most prepared hearts can miss God's blessings if they fail to act within the appointed hours. The Lord is calling his chosen ones to focus, to dedicate their attention, and to respond with unwavering faith. He is asking not for hesitation, not for delay, but for immediate action that demonstrates trust in his wisdom and power. Every prayer offered, every step taken, and every decision made in alignment with God's voice carries multiplied impact during these sacred hours. These 24 hours also serve as a time of discernment. God is revealing to his chosen ones what is truly important, what aligns with his will, and what must be released or surrendered. Distractions that once seemed compelling will fade when the heart is attuned to his spirit. The Lord's message is urgent because he wants his chosen ones to enter the new season with clarity, purpose, and the assurance that they have acted according to his guidance. Spiritual preparedness is key, and the chosen ones must embrace prayer, fasting, and heartfelt supplication to access the fullness of what God intends to release. Faith is the essential element that activates these hours. God does not work in absence of faith, and his blessings are contingent upon the trust and confidence of those who respond. In the last 24 hours of March, even the smallest acts of obedience, spoken words of faith, or declarations in alignment with God's promises can produce extraordinary results. The Lord is looking for hearts that believe not in human logic, but in his supernatural power, hearts that understand that divine intervention often requires stepping beyond comfort zones and natural understanding. The urgency is a call to trust, to act boldly, and to recognize that time is fleeting, but God's power is eternal. Moreover, these hours are a time of preparation for what lies ahead. The Lord is not only releasing blessings for the present, but is also setting up His chosen ones for the season that follows. Every prayer, every act of devotion, and every moment spent in alignment with God's will during this period is an investment into a future that He has already ordained. The urgency exists because the foundation laid in these hours will determine the magnitude of what is to come. Those who recognize the opportunity and respond faithfully will walk into the next season with momentum, divine favor, and supernatural guidance. The last 24 hours also carry an element of spiritual warfare. God's enemies seek to distract, delay, and derail His chosen ones from receiving their full inheritance. The urgency of this time is partly because the forces of darkness are aware of the power contained within these hours and will attempt to oppose it. But the Lord strengthens, equips, and protects those who respond to His call. Prayer, worship, and faith-driven action become shields and weapons, enabling the chosen ones to stand strong, persevere, and emerge victorious. God's hand moves powerfully on behalf of those who act without hesitation, and these hours are an invitation to participate in His miraculous work. The significance of these hours cannot be overstated. They are a divine invitation to step into destiny, to embrace purpose, and to act decisively in faith. The Lord's timing is perfect, and His plan is flawless. The last 24 hours of March are a sacred threshold, a moment when heaven touches earth, when the supernatural intersects with the natural, and when the chosen ones have the opportunity to experience a profound encounter with God's power, guidance, and favor, respond in faith and action to align with God's plan, for faith without action is incomplete, and action without faith is powerless. God calls His chosen ones not merely to hear His word, but to act upon it with unwavering trust and obedience. Every instruction from the Lord carries both opportunity and responsibility. When we respond in faith, we position ourselves to receive the fullness of His blessings, guidance, and supernatural intervention. The urgency in God's call is not arbitrary. It is a call to activate the power that has already been placed within each of His chosen children. Faith is the bridge between the promise and the fulfillment, and action is the vehicle that carries us across that bridge. That alignment with God's plan requires discernment, attentiveness, and readiness to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. The chosen ones must cultivate a spiritual sensitivity that allows them to recognize divine instructions and respond without hesitation. The Lord often places subtle prompts, visions, or impressions within the heart, testing whether we are willing to trust Him fully. Every act of obedience, even in seemingly small matters, builds spiritual momentum, preparing the way for greater breakthroughs and opportunities. God is not calling for partial commitment or half-hearted attempts. He calls for total alignment, for hearts and minds fully surrendered to His will, and for lives that mirror His purpose. Faith and action work in harmony, amplifying the impact of every step taken in response to God's call. When we act in faith, the supernatural begins to manifest in our lives. Doors that were previously closed begin to open. Challenges that seemed insurmountable are overcome. Circumstances that appeared fixed suddenly shift in favor of those who trust and obey. This alignment is not the result of human effort alone. It is the product of divine partnership. God empowers those who move in faith, equipping them with insight, strength, and courage to accomplish what no one else can. The urgency is real because the opportunities created by faith-filled action are often time-sensitive and uniquely positioned for each chosen one. Responding in faith and action also requires persistence and resilience. God's plan may not unfold according to our expectations or on our timeline, but trust in His guidance ensures that every effort is meaningful and every step contributes to the fulfillment of His promises. The chosen ones are called to persevere even when the path seems unclear, when obstacles arise, or when delays test patience. Each challenge is an opportunity to exercise faith, deepen trust, and demonstrate obedience. The Lord sees the intent of the heart and honors those who remain steadfast, even in the midst of uncertainty. Faith combined with action transforms difficulties into milestones, tests into testimonies, and delays into divine timing. Prayer is a vital element of this alignment. Through prayer, the chosen ones communicate directly with God, seeking His guidance, wisdom, and intervention. Prayer activates the spiritual authority placed within each believer and invites the Lord to work powerfully on their behalf. Action without prayer may lead to human strategies, but when prayer accompanies faith-filled action, the result is supernatural, guided, and unstoppable. In these moments, God positions His chosen ones in alignment with divine purpose, orchestrating circumstances that bring clarity, provision, and breakthrough. The call to respond in faith and action is also a call to courage. Stepping into God's plan often requires leaving the familiar behind, confronting fears, and embracing uncertainty with trust. The chosen ones must rise above doubt, hesitation, and worldly distractions to take decisive steps forward. Every action taken in alignment with God's will strengthens spiritual authority and builds a foundation for future blessings. The Lord honors boldness that is rooted in faith, and those who step out in obedience often find doors opening that no human effort could have created. The urgency in His call reflects the need to act without delay, to seize the divine opportunities prepared in the appointed hour, and to demonstrate a heart fully surrendered to His guidance. Furthermore, alignment with God's plan transforms not only the lives of the chosen ones, but also the lives of those around them. Faith-filled action produces influence, impact, and inspiration that extend far beyond personal circumstances. Families, communities, and even nations can be touched when a chosen one responds to God's call with courage, obedience, and unwavering faith. Each action in alignment with divine instruction contributes to a ripple effect of blessings, miracles, and spiritual awakening. The chosen ones are vessels of God's power, and their response in faith activates the extraordinary purposes He has designed for their lives. Responding in faith and action is ultimately a call to intimacy with God, a partnership that transforms potential into reality, promises into fulfillment, and ordinary lives into extraordinary testimonies. To respond faithfully is to step into a spiritual rhythm that invites God's power to flow freely, positioning the chosen ones for blessings, breakthroughs, and divine favor. Blessings and miracles are ready for those who act now, and God's timing is perfect for every chosen one who hears His call. The Lord does not delay or forget. He is always present, working behind the scenes to prepare the way for His children. Yet the manifestation of these blessings depends on readiness, faith, and action. The miracles that God has promised are not distant or unattainable. They are positioned within reach, waiting for the chosen ones to step forward in obedience. Every act of faith, every prayer spoken, and every move made in alignment with His will unlocks the flow of divine favor and supernatural provision. The readiness to receive blessings begins with awareness. God's chosen ones must recognize the moments He has appointed and understand that the time to act is now. Hesitation can delay or even diminish the impact of what God intends to release. In these critical hours, the Spirit of God is calling His people to rise above doubt, fear, and worldly distractions. To act now is to acknowledge that God's plan is greater than our understanding, that His timing is flawless, and that His power is limitless. The Lord desires that His chosen ones participate actively in the unfolding of His plan, becoming co-laborers in bringing His promises to fruition. Miracles are often tied to obedience. God delights in those who listen carefully to His voice and respond without hesitation. It is not the quantity of action that matters, but the quality and the faith behind it. Even a small step taken in full trust and alignment with His will can trigger a chain reaction of blessings that exceeds human expectation. The chosen ones are called to act with courage, knowing that the supernatural responds to faith. Each decision made in this moment, each prayer offered with a sincere heart, and each declaration spoken in faith has the potential to open doors that have long been closed and to release favor that transforms circumstances. Action in alignment with God's timing requires discernment. The chosen ones must be attentive to the whispers of the Holy Spirit, sensitive to divine guidance, and willing to move when God directs. Every distraction, every hesitation, and every delay can obscure the pathway to blessings and miracles. The Lord calls His children to step boldly into His plan, trusting that He equips those He calls. Faith without action leaves promises unfulfilled, and action without faith relies on human strength alone. Together, faith and action create the perfect environment for God's power to manifest, producing results that are beyond natural comprehension. Prayer, worship, and thanksgiving are essential components of readiness. Through prayer, the chosen ones communicate directly with God, receiving direction, peace, and insight. Worship opens the heart to divine influence, creating a space for miracles to occur. Thanksgiving aligns the spirit with God's promises, acknowledging His past faithfulness while inviting future blessings. These spiritual disciplines amplify the power of action, creating a harmony between human response and divine provision. When combined with faith-filled steps, they ensure that the chosen ones are fully prepared to receive the abundance God has set aside for them. The urgency to act now also stems from the temporal nature of opportunity. God's blessings and miracles are often tied to specific moments, appointed by His wisdom and perfect timing. The last hours of a season, the closing of a month, or the arrival of a critical day can carry extraordinary significance. Those who respond with immediacy position themselves to experience breakthroughs that might not be available at a later time. The Lord is calling His chosen ones to recognize the value of these moments, to act decisively, and to embrace the blessings He has prepared in advance for their lives. Miracles are also a demonstration of God's glory. When the chosen ones act in faith, God's power is displayed not only in their lives, but also as a testimony to others. The transformation that occurs through obedience and faith serves as a beacon of hope, inspiring families, communities, and generations to trust in His guidance. The blessings released in these moments carry eternal significance, impacting not only the immediate recipients, but also those around them. God's miracles are never limited to personal benefit. They are instruments of divine testimony and tools for kingdom advancement. The readiness to receive blessings and miracles requires humility and surrender. The chosen ones must place their trust fully in God, relinquishing control and acknowledging that His plan is perfect. It is in surrender that the greatest miracles are released, for human effort alone cannot create what God intends. Faithful action, guided by divine wisdom, positions the chosen ones to step into a life of supernatural provision, protection, and favor. God's blessings and miracles are already prepared. They are waiting for those who respond promptly, act boldly, and trust completely in His promises. Beloved chosen ones, as we reach the close of this message, remember that the call of God is not a distant whisper or a gentle suggestion. It is urgent, it is personal, and it is designed for you. The opportunities, blessings, and miracles we have spoken about are waiting, but they require your faith, your obedience, and your action. The Lord has set before you a path of divine favor, a way of supernatural breakthroughs, and a season of life-transforming encounters. All that remains is for you to respond. Do not underestimate the power of the next steps you take in faith. Every prayer, every declaration, every act of obedience brings you into alignment with God's perfect plan. The chosen ones are those who hear the call and act without delay. Today, the Lord is inviting you to step into your destiny, to embrace the blessings prepared for you, and to walk in the fullness of His promises. This is your hour, your moment, and your opportunity to experience the miraculous, to witness the impossible become possible, and to live a life that reflects God's glory. As you leave this message, carry this urgency with you. Be intentional, be steadfast, and remain sensitive to the voice of God. Act now and watch as He moves powerfully on your behalf. If this message has touched your heart, strengthened your faith, or inspired you to act, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with others, leave a comment with your reflections, and subscribe to the channel to stay connected for more messages of hope, guidance, and divine encouragement. Your faith-filled action today will unlock blessings for tomorrow.